Russia's new threats to exiles, seized assets, and forced returns. The Kremlin is sending a chilling message to anti-war Russians abroad. A new law will allow their property back home to be seized, and other countries are being pressured to crack down on them. By one of Russia's most popular rock bands, performing in Dubai last year. Members of the band were arrested in Thailand last week for an immigration violation, where, their supporters said, Russian officials spent days pushing Thailand to deport some of them to Russia. In Bangkok this week, members of an anti-war Russian-language rock group were fighting deportation to Russia, detained in what supporters described as a cramped, hot, 80-person immigration holding cell. On Wednesday in Moscow, the lower house of parliament passed a law that will allow the Russian government to seize the property of Russians living abroad who, in the words of the legislature's chairman, besmirch our country. The two developments, though thousands of miles apart, reflected the same grim calculus by the Kremlin. Using new legislation and apparent diplomatic pressure on other countries, it is turning the screws on Russia's sprawling anti-war diaspora. Historic Russia has risen up, President Vladimir V. Putin said at a meeting with backers of his presidential campaign on Wednesday, reprising his contention that the time has come to cleanse Russian society of pro-Western elements. All the scum that's always present in any society is being slowly washed away. Under the law, any Russian, even those in exile, found to be engaged in crimes against national security, including criticizing the invasion of Ukraine, could have their assets confiscated. Mr. Putin is expected to sign the law, though it is not yet clear how widely or aggressively the Kremlin plans to use it. But the law's quick passage, it sailed through the rubber-stamped State Duma unanimously, is another signal that the Kremlin, having stamped out dissent at home, is increasingly turning its attention to criticism from abroad. Hundreds of thousands of Russians fled after the war began, including many celebrities who can still reach their fans through platforms like YouTube, which remains accessible inside Russia. Among the first to feel this increasing pressure are popular performers who have drawn large audiences in places popular with Russian immigrants like Dubai and Southeast Asia. In recent weeks, Russian anti-war celebrities have accused Thailand and Indonesia of bending to Russian pressure to cancel their shows, while an anti-war rapper found himself banned from re-entering the United Arab Emirates, his adopted home. The most dramatic case unfolded after members of the rock group By2, originally from Belarus and one of Russia's most popular bands, were arrested in Thailand last week for an immigration violation. Their supporters said Russian officials spent days pushing Thailand to deport some of them to Russia, where the musicians could have faced prosecution for criticizing the war. By Wednesday, the rockers had escaped that fate thanks to the intervention of Israeli and Australian diplomats, who arranged for all 7 band members to be deported to Israel, according to the group's lawyer, who requested anonymity for security reasons. For citizens of Israel and one of Australia. The extent of the Kremlin's efforts to get the rockers sent to Russia was not clear, but on Tuesday, the group said in a statement that the Thai authorities had canceled an earlier plan to deport some of them to Israel after Russian diplomats visited the immigration center where they were being held. Analysts and human rights advocates consider the case a stark demonstration of the Kremlin's increasingly aggressive efforts to punish Russians speaking out against Mr. Putin abroad, especially when they do so in non-Western countries that are interested in maintaining good relations with Moscow.